While the focus of this chapter is assessing internal candidates, it's really about career management. Assessing internal candidates is very similar to assessing external candidates. This is because we're using the same job description and person specification. The biggest difference is that we have access to different sets of information about the internal candidate. The HR strategy is an important factor in the types of information that we have about internal candidates. The reason for this is that if we have a low commitment to internal hires, we probably haven't collected the types of information that we need to make good career management and progression decisions about internal employees. It's more likely going to be based on informal information. However, if we have a strong commitment to hiring employees from inside the organization, our systems and processes should be set up so that we have the right types of information to make these decisions from the inside. In organizations with a low commitment to internal hiring, usually these organizations leave career planning up to the individual to investigate, to be responsible, to make their own choices. However, in organizations with a high commitment to internal hiring, there's usually a well-defined career path system that's in place to help the employees to select appropriate careers or to investigate careers that are available within the organization. So this means that not only are they picking individual career paths, but there's an entire career map available where employees can see how those individual career paths can link to other career paths. So if they go along one path and they decide that they'd like to switch careers or do something different, it helps them see how they fit within the organization and other career paths. The idea of career development within an organization is closely linked to performance management and feedback. This allows the organization to provide not only job-specific feedback, but also developmental feedback over the long term. So if we're thinking about internal hires and we have a career map developed, we're able to identify the types of skills that are needed for the next level up. We're also able to identify gaps within the career map for our specific talent that we have within the organization. This helps us when we're recruiting for future jobs instead of just the current job, so that we're able to fill those gaps with either people that we bring into the organization or individuals internally as we help them identify the areas that they need to develop. When people talk about careers, they used to talk about going to an employer and staying with them for a long time. You know, the traditional career path, I'm going to get with this employer and I'm going to work my way up the organization. And then came the economic downturns that resulted in downsizing and layoffs. There was also innovation of jobs, which reduced the number of jobs and converted them to technology. More recently, there was the Affordable Care Act that decimated a number of career professions. They've almost entirely moved to part-time employees. As a result, employees no longer look at careers from a long-term perspective defined by a lifetime career with one organization. Nowadays, a long-term job is an average length of 4.2 years, which is substantially different than what we had in the past. And this creates a lot of challenges for HR professionals who are trying to hire internally. Some of the challenges that we face include scarce talent pools, employers that choose to have below market wages, so they're looking at total rewards from a different perspective, and skill gaps. These are all items that are severely impacting our ability to increase the number of years that we have employees when we're looking for longer-term hires. In some cases, organizations encounter stiff competition for labor. This creates a situation where the talent has a variety of job opportunities, and unless the organization has structured the compensation package, the total rewards package that includes career development and progression, this organization is going to have a really hard time retaining their talent as they are recruited by other competing organizations. Another form of scarce talent pools is a skill gap, and that's a situation where a group of employers begin to need a specific type of labor that is not available in the labor market yet, or in some situations a specific type of labor is needed, but individuals are choosing not to go into those particular fields. As a result, there are a large number of individuals in the labor market who don't match the skills that are needed for the particular job. In this situation, again, the talent has a lot of opportunity for other jobs within other organizations, and unless the organization is keeping in mind the stiff competition for this labor and creating a total rewards package and a career development opportunity within the organization, they are again going to lose that labor sooner than the 4.2 years. Some organizations choose to have a below market compensation strategy, meaning that they pay below the market averages. In this case, the organization is committing to creating a specific type of work environment and benefit package that is attractive to specific types of target labor demographics, and they do this in order to be competitive in the market. The retention challenge is that you have to hire the right types of individuals with priorities and values that match the organization. Otherwise, you will lose them substantially sooner than the 4.2 years. So when we think about employers who are committed to hiring internally and have developed appropriate career tracks, these are placed into career maps. This allows us to think in terms of the average employee tenure of 4.2 years. So we know that if the average employee is moving positions every 4.2 years, our career maps have to take this into account. So if we're focused on hiring internally and we're thinking about performance management, employee development, we have a time span of 4.2 years to develop that employee into the next position, either up the career path or across the career map. One of the ways that we address this is by having well-developed skills inventories. So this is a database that allows us to track the knowledge, skills, and abilities as the person comes into the organization and as they grow with the organization. Also having the jobs accurately defined in the job descriptions and the person specifications, keeping those updated and changing them or shifting them as the jobs within the organization changes, so that we can appropriately identify individuals within the organization that have the potential talents or that can develop the potential talents. And then if we link this to performance management and feedback within the organization, this allows us to grow that internal talent and to retain that talent past that 4.2 years. So when assessing candidates, there is a lot of similarity between assessing the external candidate and assessing the internal candidate for a job, because you're using the same job description and the same person specification. The biggest difference is that with the external candidates, you don't have access to a lot of information. You have to verify the information that they give you. There's a lot of decisions about the types of assessments that you're going to use to address knowledge, skills, and abilities related to that specific job. With the internal candidate, you already have access to a lot of the information that you need related to the skills assessment. And so when assessing the internal candidate, the depth of information that you have makes the assessment a little bit more assured, so your probability of a successful hire internally should be much higher than the external candidate.